Hello and welcome friends. Welcome to this video on classification of hormones. Hormones are classified by different ways. Number 1, based on the site of formation and action. Number 2, based on the chemical nature. And number 3, based on the mechanism of action. First, hormone classification based on the source of the formation and the site of action. First in this category is autocrine hormone. Hormones are formed and are acted upon by the same cells. The autocrine signaling occurs when the same cell acts as sender and recipient. Example, interleukin 1. Paracrine hormone. Hormones are formed by a cell and act on the neighboring cells. The paracrine signaling occurs when the hormones have their effect near the site of secretion, that is, nearby cells, without entering the circulation. Example, enkephalins, endorphins, etc. Endocrine hormones. Hormones are synthesized by one type of cells, that is endocrine cells, and are transported through blood to act on another type of cells, the target cells. So the endocrine signaling occurs between cells which are located at a distance from each other through the hormones secreted into circulation. Examples, insulin, thyroxine, etc. Neurocrine hormones. Hormones are synthesized by neurons and are transported through blood to act on another type of cells. The neurocrine signaling occurs between neurons and other cells which are located at a distance from each other through the hormones secreted into circulation. Example, thyrotropin releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, etc. Second way of classification, that is based on their chemical nature. First in this category is amino acid derivatives. The hormones are derived from various amino acids. Example, epinephrine, thyroxine, etc. Peptide hormones. The hormones are made up of small chains of amino acids, peptides. Example, oxytocin, ADH, etc. Protein hormones. These hormone molecules are made up of proteins. Example, insulin, prolactin, etc. Glycoprotein hormones. These hormone molecules are made up of glycoproteins. Example, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, etc. Steroid hormones. These hormone molecules are derivatives of cholesterol. Example, glucocorticoids, androgens, etc. Derivatives of arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid derivatives. These hormone molecules are derivatives of a polyunsaturated fatty acid, arachidonic acid, which has 20 carbon and 4 double bonds. Example, prostaglandins, leukotriene, etc. Now the third way of classification, that is based on the mechanism of action. Based on mechanism of action, they are of two types. Number 1, group 1 hormones. These hormones are lipophilic except T3 and T4. They need a transport protein in the circulation. They readily pass through the plasma membrane of the target cells. They interact with intracellular receptors that are present either in the nucleus or in the cytoplasm. The hormone receptor complex causes increased expression of specific genes and lead to altered amount of newly synthesized proteins. So HR complex causes increased expression of specific genes and this lead to altered amount of newly synthesized protein following translation and transcription. They have relatively long plasma half-life. Example, thyroid hormones, androgens, mineralocorticoids, etc. Now, group 2 hormones. These hormones are hydrophilic. They don't need a transport protein in the circulation. They cannot pass through the plasma membrane of the target cells. They interact with extracellular receptors that are present on the plasma membrane. The hormone receptor complex causes increased production of intracellular second messengers like cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, etc. Second messengers in turn activate pre-existing proteins to exert hormonal response. They have relatively short plasma half-life. Examples: TSH, ADH, epinephrine, gastrin, etc. Now, group 2 hormones are further subclassified based on the use of second messengers. Hormones using cyclic AMP as their second messengers. Now, these hormones use cyclic AMP as the second messengers. Example: glucagon, TSH, FSH, LH, etc. Hormones using cyclic GMP. These hormones use cyclic GMP as the second messenger. Example: ANF, atrial natriuretic factor, nitric oxide. Hormones using calcium and phosphatidylinositol. These hormones use calcium and phosphatidylinositol as the second messenger, PIP2, phosphatidylinositol diphosphate. Example: gastrin, cholecystokinin, TRH, etc. Hormones using tyrosine kinase. Actions of these hormones are mediated through tyrosine kinase. Example: insulin, somatomidin, EGF, etc. Hormones using kinase or phosphatase. These hormones have intracellular messenger as a kinase or utilize phosphatase cascade. Example: leptin, erythropoietin, GH and PRL, that is growth hormone and prolactin, etc. So friends, let's quickly summarize the classification of hormones. Hormones are classified based on the site of formation and action, based on their chemical nature, and based on the mechanism of action. Based on the site of the formation and action, they are sub-classified as autocrine hormones, paracrine hormones, endocrine and neurocrine. Based on the chemical nature, they are amino acid derivatives, peptide hormones, protein hormones, glycoprotein hormone, steroid hormones, and hormones derived from arachidonic acid. Based on the mechanism of action, as group 1 hormone, those have intracellular receptors, and group 2 hormones which have receptors present on the cell membrane. Now group 2 hormones based on the second messenger are subclassified as the hormones that use cyclic AMP as the second messenger, cyclic GMP as the second messenger, calcium and phosphatidylinositol as the second messenger, using tyrosine kinase pathway or kinase or phosphatase cascade. So friends, let's have a very simple mnemonic to remember the classification of hormones. He-man sitting on a sofa reading chemistry book on mechanism of action. So He-man sitting and relaxing on a sofa reading a chemistry book on mechanism of action. So He-man stands for hormone, sofa for classification based on source of formation and site of action, chemistry for classification based on the chemical nature, and mechanism of action for the classification based on mechanism of action. These images I have got from pngwing.com. I am thankful to all these resources for helping me in making this video. Thank you friends. Thank you for watching this video. Be happy, healthy and stay safe. And remember, biochemistry is easy. Thank you so much.